This May, Kingstree, South Carolina becomes a place of remembrance and reflection. Join us for a powerful two-day commemoration marking the 60th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s 1966 call to march on ballot boxes. Together, we honor the past, examine the promise, and shape the future. Friday, May 8th and Saturday, May 9th, 2026. For more information, contact C. Williams Rush at 803-397-1859.
All right, good morning. Good Sunday morning on this beautiful Sunday morning here at May 3rd, 2026. And got a lot I want to talk about, but first I want to go ahead and put this on your calendar. This Tuesday going to be a great conversation. I'm going to talk a little bit about the mass firings of the two principals, excuse me, the removal, change in leadership. I don't, uh, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that. Hopefully, if he's not too busy, we'll have Mr. Marvin Neal from the NAACP on again. Great show with him last week. Got a lot of information out of him. And I would encourage you guys to go back and watch that show from last week. But today, there's a lot just bubbling up. And, you know, of course, I've been going back and forth with a few people on these internet streets, which just had me thinking a lot. I also had the opportunity to meet gubernatorial candidate Jermaine Johnson down in Kingstree the other day over at the Henry Hand facility. It was a great outing. Got to speak with him, took some pictures. I got the campaign speech up on my page, and it's apparently causing some discomfort with some people. As a matter of fact, um, so this lady is online right now, Miss Burdick. All right, here we go. Where you at, Miss Burdick? Yeah, this is going to be a lively conversation today because politics in South Carolina is, it's I guess it's always been this way, but yeah, it's it's really really crazy. Um, and so this person, let me refresh this. That'll probably help me. Just asked a question over in one of these groups that I'm in, and she said, "Are you going to post Republican candidates for governor?" And let me show you what I'm looking at. This is the kind of stuff that has been going on constantly. But I definitely welcome this because this is the kind of debate that we need. But this is from my Facebook page, and there you see me with the campaign thing from down in Kingstree. And this was posted on a group that I'm in. It's called Black River Guardians, right? Now, Miss Burdick asked, "Am I going to Are you going to post the Republican candidates for governor for South Carolina also? Ms. Burdick, that's a good question. If I'm afforded the opportunity to, um, if I'm afforded the opportunity to, I will definitely do that. The thing about me, Ms. Burdick, is that I don't care about partisan politics. I think partisan politics is what makes people um, stupid. I so to answer your question, yes. So if you could uh, just alert me to where one of these candidates are, I will be there. I will ask questions. I will be thing because that's one of the reasons why I do. That's one of the reasons why I went there. Okay, um, to see that. But in regards to why I posted that on that Black River Guardians page, is because he was speaking about some conservation things that um, I know that people talk about in that group. I think a lot of people are triggered by that D, the Democrat, just like a lot of black people are triggered by that R, as far as Republicans, and it makes both of you look quite silly, right? So because my one another reason for me being there is like I don't think people with the media, right? With the media, with the people that call themselves the news, the people that you guys support by clicking on, the people who you guys support by interacting with, right? Because these things are monetized, right? Even if you don't understand it. Um, when media organizations or so called media organizations choose a political side, then the people have lost, okay? Because um, for me, and this is just me, I want as much of the information as possible. I don't want, there's a part of that information that I'm going to really like and that's going to make me feel good. And I know that there's danger in only consuming that side of an argument. So I want to hear both sides. That's just me. Okay. Um, on this platform right here, right? During numerous elections, I've had an open door policy when it comes to either side, left or right. Okay. But the ignorance of both sides when it comes to Georgetown, Williamsburg County, politics is a matter of race. Um, a gentleman, a couple people took the time, and I want to thank you for that because that's engagements, okay? And that um, by engaging with something, when you express your dislike for something on social media, let me explain to you how this works, right? Um, when you express your dislike for something, you get more of it. Okay. When you engage with it, it tells the algorithm that, hey, people that her friends, everybody else that she knows or he knows, they gonna uh, probably feel the same way, and we're going to get the engagement on it. Okay. So if you are on the left or the right, and you find it where it's just impossible to sit down and listen to whatever, as ridiculous as you may think it is, then you already lost, right? Because, and I'm learning, because I got an article posted on my page about the South Carolina state. I've been covering that, and my opinion goes against what is confirmed. Excuse me, not confirmed. Um, my opinion goes against what is approved thinking for Negroes. So that's why I got the auction thing up there today. All right. Yeah. My line of thinking, my line of questioning goes against the group think, the party lines, right? Because uh let's not let's not put any let's not put any, that's what it is. It's called a negative bias. Um and that's why people craft headlines and titles the way they do to get you to and that's what people like. um that's why the thing, when it bleeds it leads, drive news cycles forever. um but yeah, we were talking about the South Carolina state situation, and for me, it when you get past all the emotional foolishness, and I know that that's a triggering statement for somebody, for some people, for me to say that that's foolishness. What do you mean? What I mean is that when you don't control your own, I did some research, y'all. I did a lot of research because what I want to do is I want to try to bring some common sense back to people. Uh, or what I see as common sense. Because there's a cognitive dissonance going on, right? There's a disconnect between what's actually happening, what reality is, and what people are and the way people are acting out here on the streets, right? The reality is that South Carolina State is a publicly funded university, and I don't care how you feel about somebody politically. Funding decisions are made on the state level. And I don't care how you feel. Um, you cannot conduct yourself as if you're some type of private university or you're some type of I want to get these numbers in front of me. So when I start talking, I don't want to bang. Also, um, calling me a coon is like find a new insult. Okay, find something else to that that you know what I mean? Because what it says to me, especially when you start out like that, that means you're defeated. That means you have no ideas to bring to the table. You have no logic to come and say, well, okay, well, yeah, that's what you think. Then here is my rebuttal to what you're saying, because what you're saying is inconsistent, blah blah blah, whatever the reason is. You could do that, but that's not the approach. No, you a coon. You a sellout, right? And and then when I say, well, wow, you sound like the white people on my page, to be quite honest. To be honest with you, you sound like the white people who get mad that I posted Jermaine Johnson uh, on the page. You know, they want answers for that. Why would you post that? You know what I mean? Why don't you post it? Why don't you post what you want to post? You know what I mean? Why don't you just keep engaging with the content? I need that. I should really be quiet right now. Um, but the South Carolina State issue uh, again, to the gentleman who graduated from, I think he said he's a proud graduate of that whatever whatever, and he bought his Harley from a black owned business and dot. Um, to think that you sat in a university, historically black college, where people really um, sacrifice for you to sit there, and that's the only thing that you could come up with to respond. Here's the problem, right? Here's the problem. Here's the problem. When you calling me and you saying, "Hey, you're a coon, you're a this, you're a that," I'm the type that points to the scoreboard, right? Because at the end of the day, this is what matters. This is what runs South Carolina. Okay. And this is where choice, like, people starting to shake off that foolishness now. Men lie, women lie. Numbers do not lie. Don't argue with me, argue with the numbers. See, I'm here on the ground in South Carolina, where the education in the school, we were ranked at what, 47th? The numbers. When you're graduating 17% of your students, what's the problem? We're asking the wrong questions. When you're only graduating 17% of your students, Now tell me that's because of underfunding. Tell me because that's this. But the man that called me a coon, right? Have you sent some money down to South Carolina State yet? No, you know what people are saying? Hey, we want the person who thought that was a good idea to bring they're doubling down. It's like y'all want to argue balls and strikes and you don't even have a damn bat. You gotta have a bat first. We in the batter's box without a bat. See, to me, because again, I'm out here on these streets walking around. These numbers, right, speak to cultural rot, right? You know what I could not find, but I instinctively know what those numbers are. You know what I couldn't find? I couldn't find numbers from the early 60s and 70s when all of this stuff that people claims going on now, right? It's just a bunch of ignorance going on now. But when real institutional racism, real it was a matter of policy was going on. These numbers did not look like this. Again, I'm that one who you can argue with whatever. I'm just gonna point to the scoreboard. Check the score. Check the score. And some of you still so emotionally manipulated by this or that party that you still don't see what I'm saying. But if you hang around, I'll get you there. Just hang on. Hang on in there. So again, remember to tune in this Tuesday right here on Facebook and on YouTube. Make sure you go. If you're on YouTube, hit that follow button. Hit that notification bell so that anytime we are over y'all thing. And I want to show some love to we're gonna be streaming this live as a matter of fact, as a fact of matters. We're gonna be streaming this live. Pull up some images here for you. Coming this Friday. Um, yeah, I was really interested in what the graduation rate was in 1966 during this time right here. This was the time when 60 years ago when Martin Luther King uh, was in King's Tree, South Carolina, and they're going to be commemorating this on this Friday, May 8th, 2026, in King Street, South Carolina, on the campus of, or excuse me, the former campus of Tomlinson Middle School. And there's going to be a lot of information that you'll learn about Tomlinson that I learned by way of Miss Cassandra Williams Rush. And if you need or want more information or directions or anything like that about this event, you can reach Miss Cassandra Williams Rush, who is the curator of the African American Museum in Williamsburg County. King Street, as a matter of fact, her phone number is 803-397-1859. Also, You can also contact Miss Pilar Richards at 843 485 6298. Again, this event will take place. The gates open at 1. The actual program starts at 4, from 4 to 6. And then on the next day, there will be there will be on Saturday, bloop, May 9th, there will be a presidential gala celebrating the I think yeah. And that's just that. Presidential gala celebrating the 4 presidents of the HBCU. The irony, right? The irony, man. So, back to that lady's earlier thing about me posting the Republican. I'll post anybody. Okay. And if you follow a particular, and I guess that's just how it is now. So that's, you can't expect any more from your local news media outlets. And when I say that's how it is, because that's how people consume their news. You're either Fox News, or you're either CNN, or you're either MSNBC, or you're either News One. And it's a particular brand of news that people want to hear. It's an echo chamber. We all in our little digital little silos, right? Where we consume information that soothes us and make us, you know what I mean? I'm probably one of the only person that seeks out some of the discomfort, some of the counter arguments to what it is I believe in, what it is I just think it brings balance. I don't know. Maybe it's the Libra in me. I don't know, but I just know that what happened with the principal and Andrews is going to have a bigger effect than I think people are anticipating. It's just my opinion. Me personally, I don't know. Allegedly, I snapped. I don't know. It could possibly be retaliation from some decisions that were uh, brought to the forefront or whatever. Again, that's just me, but I would love to get the NAAC's perspective on this, because in light of the desegregation order that the community made me understand why it should still be in place. I thought, oh, well, we surely we have outgrown something like that. No, in fact, no. In fact, no. Right. And also, I want to say this again to the people who saying, if you're that connected to the Republican Party, reach out to them and let them know. I'll come and cover their events equal time. I don't give a diesel if you can cover. Uh, it doesn't matter to me. Hell, I'll cover all of the Democratic candidates. I did a piece on Mullins McLeod. I'm gonna share that again later. I don't know if they're gonna like it, but that's what was out there. That's what I reported on. That's what I commentated on. I didn't do a report. That's what I reacted to. Okay. So, yeah, but I know it's dishonest, and when and it's dangerous to me when people who are delivering the news and they got like a huge following, when you allow somebody to buy that and puppet you, That's dangerous. Okay. So, what's so dangerous about hearing somebody else, the other side? What's the harm in listening to somebody else who has a different opinion? They support whatever DEI. Hell, they support, I don't know, whatever pisses you off. I had to look at myself just now. Again, more numbers on the bottom of the screen. Jermaine Johnson talked about some numbers. It's on my page. You can go see it. Yeah, I let people speak though, especially when you don't pay your own bills. And when you got the graduation rate of what you got. And these numbers that I'm got up here, that's according to scvotes.org. And this myth and this ignorance that is pervasive in the community on either side, white or black, that, oh, my vote doesn't count. That's very, very narrow minded. And it shows that you're just not informed about what's going on right around you. Most of your local elections, most of your locally elected officials who make who do things that directly immediately affect you, these elections come down to 20, 30, 11, 100, 120, razor thin. See, and I'm glad Mr. Johnson broke this down and took time to elaborate on the fact that what most people have in their brain is how presidents are chosen through the electoral college. Okay, that is one thing. That is a system that is, questionable, whatever, whatever. But that has nothing to do with your local elections. That has nothing to do with your state elections. These are numbers, right? Uh, it's a numbers game. Okay. Now, the next thing people are talking about is this gerrymandering situation that's going on. And I wanted to talk about that because it is a dirty game. Boom, 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 boom. Do you remember? Oh. Brr, 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 brr. Do you remember? Mm, 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 mm. The when we mhm, 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 mhm. Mhm, 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 mhm. Do you remember? Let's talk about gerrymandering. Do you what that means. 'Cause I didn't, and then I did some research because I thought that it meant this. Then I find out that it meant that. Do you remember? Ow! Did you go and see that Michael Jackson movie? Did anybody go see that movie? And if you did, I don't need a spoiler. I don't need, but just tell me good, bad. I'm gonna go see it anyway because what you like, I may not like. And what I like, you may not like. All right, so we are talking today about gerrymandering. I mean, gerrymandering. Gerrymandering. Excuse me. Let's get down to it, y'all. So let me slow this down a little bit and explain something that gets thrown around a whole lot. Gerrymandering. A lot of times when people hear the word gerrymandering, they automatically think racism. And sometimes, yes, race can definitely be involved, but gerrymandering itself not automatically means racism at its core. And here's why. Gerrymandering is when political district lines are drawn in a way that gives somebody an advantage. That advantage could be racial. The advantage could also be political. The advantage could be about protecting an incumbent. The advantage could be about weakening a certain voting group, and I think that's what we're what's at issue here in South Carolina currently. I think that's what was at issue in Texas when it came to Miss Jasmine Crockett. But the basic idea is this: instead of voters choosing their politicians, the politicians are trying to choose their voters. Now, there are two main ways that this usually happens. One is called packing. Okay. And let me get some definitions of these tactics up on the board here. Again, one is called packing. Where's that thing at? Let me stop acting like y'all can't follow. Like I gotta keep putting up. I'm not putting up nothing up. I'm gonna just keep going through this. Anyway, one is called packing. What does that mean? Packing means it's already up on the damn screen. You dummy. I tell you, South Carolina. All right, one is called packing. That means you take a certain group of voters, pack them into one district so that they may win that one district by a huge number. But they might win, but their voting power has been weakened everywhere else. The other is called cracking. And cracking is when you split the group of voters across several districts. I think that's what they did in Andrews. That's why Andrews has two representatives, county council representatives, as opposed to any other thing. But anyway, I digress. When you split the vote across several districts so they do not have enough strength in any one district to control the outcome. So when people talk about gerrymandering, those are the two words you need to remember: packing and cracking. Now, let me also be clear about this: gerrymandering is not a district having a funny shape, not automatically. That's not what gerrymandering automatically means, right? Um, that's not what it means. Sometimes what causes the funny shapes are county lines, um, rivers, lines drawn around cities, highways, neighborhoods, or populations. Change. Also, redistricting itself is not gerrymandering. Redistricting is normal. Every 10 years after the census, states have to redraw district lines because populations change. Some areas grow, some areas shrink, people move, communities change. So the lines are always going to be, they're always going to ebb and flow. Sometimes those changes may benefit Democrats, sometimes they may benefit Republicans. Sometimes they may benefit sometimes they may benefit a rural area, sometimes they may benefit an urban area. But gerrymandering is when those lines are not just changing naturally, but they're being manipulated to create political or racial advantage. Now, here is where it gets complicated, especially in South Carolina. Sometimes people say this is racial gerrymandering. Other people may say, nope, it's just partisan gerrymandering. And the reason that gets so complicated is because race and party can overlap in all areas, not some areas. Black voters may heavily support one party, white support another party. So when the lines are drawn to help one party, they may also affect racial representation. That is why you have to look at the facts carefully. You cannot just throw the word racist on every map, but you also cannot pretend that race has never been used in this country to weaken people's voting power. Now, let me stop right here and break this down a little bit about the voting rights, right? Because that's something that we talk about, but we never really unpack. But we're going to do that right now, this morning, here on the Sunday morning uh, broadcast here. Uh, the Voting Rights Act was passed in 1965. It came out of a time when black citizens, especially in the South, were being blocked from voting through poll taxes, literacy tests, intimidation, and other tactics. So the Voting Rights Act was designed to protect citizens from racial discrimination in voting. That matters because district lines can be used to silence people, just like a poll tax or literacy tax could. You may let a person vote, but you draw lines in a way that makes their vote almost meaningless. In other words, yeah, you can vote, but what you voting for? And the way this thing is drawn up, your vote doesn't matter. Anyway, then you still weaken politically or whatever. So under the Voting Right Act, especially when we talk about minority voting strength, the issue is not just whether people are allowed to cast the ballot, but the issue is whether the system is set up in a way that gives them fair opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. That is why districts are drawn with race in mind, not always to discriminate, but sometimes to comply with the Voting Rights Act. In other words, there are cases where lawmakers may have to consider race to make sure minority voters are not cracked apart and denied representation. But there is a line you cannot use. There is a line. You cannot use race as the main reason for drawing a district unless there's a strong legal reason for going against that ruling. Okay. Um, and check this out, you cannot use the Voting Rights Act as an excuse to pack minority voters into one district just to weaken their influence everywhere else. This is where the legal fight usually begins. One side says, we drew the lines this way to follow the Voting Rights Act. The other line says, no, you packed those voters in a place to weaken their power in surrounding districts. And sometimes another side says, this is not about race at all. This is about party politics. Why we this is why these cases are rarely simple. So when somebody says gerrymandering is the first question, you should be asked when they say gerrymandering is what kind? Is it partisan gerrymandering where the goal is to help one political party? Or is it racial gerrymandering where the goal was used to weaken or separate voters? Or is it normal redistricting lines changed because the population changed? That distinction actually matters because gerrymandering is not automatically racism, but it can become racial real fast when the lines are drawn to pack, crack, or dilute voting power of a racial group. And this is important right here. And it also can be a political issue when the lines are drawn to protect one party from fair competition. And this, I tell you, man, this makes me want to look at Georgetown County so deeply again because the way it's set up, like you're gonna have anyway. Do these lines look strange? The real question: who benefits from the lines? That's what you be asking when you look at your district lines. Who's benefiting from it? Where does the power lie? Um, what's the racial makeup of that that area? So you want to just know: are they drawing fairly? Are they drawing to represent the people, or are they drawing to control outcome before the people ever vote? That's actually the conversation that we need to be having. And this is going to come up in the conversation on Tuesday because again, who is the representative for District 3 in Georgetown County when it comes to the school board? Just off the top, my question is, uh who all did this white lady talk to? How did this white lady get elected in this predominantly black district? Is it because blacks don't get involved in political just a question. You know what I mean? 'Cause I got them. ain't short on them barbers. Some questions, I'm not short on them. But I am short on time because I gotta go feed my chickens. I'm late.
Get ready, Andrews. The Andrews Heritage Festival is coming October 31st. A day filled with community, culture, and celebration is on the way. Big energy, great people, and unforgettable moments. Save the date now and get ready.